Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon Ellison and today I have a really awesome topic for you. I asked my Instagram followers last week about some real estate topics they would like me to cover in my next video, and I got a few answers, but there was one that I think stood out that is very relevant, and that is the topic of iBuyers, especially for you millennials out there. If you don't know what an iBuyer is, it's a newer way to sell your home really fast, and there are of course a lot of pros and cons to anything that happens really fast. So today I want to discuss and dissect a bit and just see what the real benefits and drawbacks are to using an iBuyer service. Let's start with what is an iBuyer. And essentially it's a service for home sellers where a company or an investor that uses automation valuation models or AVMs to make instant offers on homes. And it allows sellers to close on a property relatively quickly, and once sold, the company then turns around and resells that home for a profit. And today, some examples of some iBuyer companies are Offerpad, Zillow Offers, OpenDoor, and Perch. And each are only available in a handful of cities around the United States, and some more traditional companies actually offer the same or similar services too, like Keller Williams, Redfin, and Realogy. But does it make sense to sell your home to an iBuyer? Well, it depends on your situation. Collateral Analytics recently released a study which revealed the advantage and the disadvantage of using an iBuyer, and according to that study, if the homeowner is looking for convenience and a quick sale with less uncertainty, using an iBuyer might make sense because iBuyers offer quicker closings for sellers who want to avoid things like uncertainty of knowing when and if their home will sell. So for motivated sellers who want a predictable sale date because they need to move, maybe they're going really far away to a far location, there's no question that iBuyers have provided a very welcome alternative to a traditional brokerage. So what is the cost of that convenience? And Collateral Analytics also explained that traditional brokerage fees generally range from 5 to 7% of the sales price. In addition to this cost, buyers typically pay some closing costs, including lender-related charges in the range of 1 to about 3%. In contrast, iBuyers charges sellers convenience fee of 6 to 9.5%, and some also charge the seller for fees typically paid by buyers at closing, adding another 1% or more. So most buyers iBuyers will inspect the home, assess a generous home repair allowance, and negotiate a credit for handling such repairs. And overall, the total direct cost, ignoring the repair credits, will run 7% to 10% for an iBuyer versus a typical 5 to 9% combined seller and buyer cost with a traditional broker. Yet, that wasn't the end of the story or the comparison. The study actually went on to explain how iBuyers need to charge even more because they have additional expenses beyond that of traditional brokerages. And they include 1, carrying costs, which involve a significant amount of capital. The iBuyer must pay the expenses of the house between the time they purchase it and the time that they sell it to a new buyer. So number 2 is adverse selection risks. The study explains that since iBuyers use computer models to determine the offer, they might be unaware of certain challenges in neighborhoods that can adversely impact the value. And number 3 is potential home price declines. A downturn in home prices not forecasted by the iBuyer market analysts could be devastating as they ramp up their business platforms, particularly if the cost of capital increases. At the same time, downturns are precisely when most sellers would want to use this option. So the bottom line is, after taking a very thorough look at the iBuyer platform, the study concludes that using an iBuyer is more expensive for homeowners than the traditional brokerage model, but for some sellers, it still makes sense. Preliminary empirical results suggest that sellers are paying not just the difference in fees of 2 to 5% more than what traditional agencies, but another 3 to 5% more to compensate the iBuyer for liquidity risks and their carrying costs. So in all, the typical cost to a seller appears to be in the range of 13 to 15% depending on the iBuyer vendor. So to put that in perspective, if you're selling your $1.5 million Silicon Valley home, you're paying $195,000 to $225,000 for convenience. versus the normal $100K to $135K with their traditional brokerage. And for many other parts of the country, if you're selling your $400,000 home, you're paying $52,000 to $60,000 in convenience versus the traditional brokerage fee of $25,000 to $30K. For some sellers requiring a very quick extraction of equity, this is certainly worthwhile, but what percentage of the market will actually be using this service still remains to be seen. And working with the Walker team, we offer a full concierge level service for less than the cost of iBuyer programs, and we take care of everything for you. So if you need to move fast, we also work with multiple investors that will buy your house all cash at a discount, just like the iBuyer program would. So if you or someone you know is thinking about selling, have them contact me here and we can strategize the best way to net the most profit for your home. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found some value in this, and I will see you next week in my video where I will be in Atlanta, Georgia with my mom and my lovely sister for an early Thanksgiving dinner. I will see you guys all then. Bye-bye.